Hi again, I'm back. It's 4 o'clock. It's time for Wonder Sparks DIY Puppet Craft. Woo! Okay, let's get started. I think maybe you can see the princess over here in her throne room, so for your viewing pleasure. Welcome! It's 4 o'clock. Time for our DIY puppet craft, and we have so much exciting stuff going on today. So it is Big Animals Week here at Wonder Spark. So we are making this really fun rocking elephant puppet for to kick off Big Animals Week. And another fun thing that's going on to do with our cute little elephant puppet is this morning, earlier this afternoon, we teamed up with Irondequoit Public Library, who hosts a story time on their Facebook page 3 times a week. So we teamed up with them, and today one of the books that they read was The Trouble with Elephants by Chris Riddell. So another reason for our cute elephant puppet. So definitely check them out. Their story times are archived on their Facebook page. So if you missed it today, you can always go back and hear that story. And you don't have to spell it all out either. Irondequoit. Their handle on Facebook is @IronLibrary. So nice and simple. Check them out. All right, let's go over what we are going to need. First of all, the printout, so that it'll make it nice and easy for us to have our elephant shape. If you need help finding that, go to our Facebook page. You're on our Facebook page, but look for our little teaser video with the supply list, and the image is copied there in the comments. So you can download and print it from there. All right. So that'll make things a lot easier for you. Also, a paper plate. If you don't have a paper plate, you can also use a cereal box. That would be great. Also, you can use that, no problem. Especially if you have the pattern. That'll make it real easy for you. You'll need scissors, a pencil. Oh, hi, Karen. Thanks for joining. Scissors, pencil, white glue. You can use markers. I'm probably going to use one marker at least to trace, so you can see what I'm doing. And then, like I said a few minutes ago, you can also get some paints if you want to get messy. And I've made the bold choice that I'm going to paint live in front of you today and get a little messy. So we'll see what happens. Okay, so paint your brushes. I've got my little water cup here as well. You can see I use it a lot to paint. And also a Sharpie. This might be good for tracing, especially if you're using a snack box. But you can use a regular marker, or you can even use your pencil that you've already got out. All right. I think with that, we are ready to get building. Hi, Mary. Okay, let's get started. So the first thing we're going to want to do is we've got our printout, right? What do you think we're going to do with this? We are going to cut it out. That's right. Now, we've used patterns a couple of times before, and just like before, on the solid lines, we're going to cut. Since this is our pattern, we're also going to cut around this dotted line, but I'm going to leave a little extra space so that I can see that it's a dotted line. Because in our puppet, that means there's going to be a fold here. Make sense? Okay. I'll show you what I mean by that. I'm going to start with that side. Just leaving a little bit extra there. See, I don't need to cut through those dashes. Okay, and now we can just cut on the solid lines all the way around our pattern. Now, I was a little worried a few minutes ago because we had a little storm roll in. It got really dark and you could hear the rain pattering on the window. So I was a little worried that might interrupt our puppet making. But it passed and now the sun is out. It's Beautiful once again. We'll see what happens in another few minutes. Who knows? Could change again. Okay. I've got my pattern cut out, but wait a second. Look, I have another solid line right down here. So that means I'll need to cut that out as well. This is where things can get a little tricky. But I'm going to take my pencil and just poke a hole right through there. So it makes it easier for me to cut out. So I've already got it started, and now I can just cut right around that solid line. So I'm basically taking a little piece out of my pattern. All right. Ta-da! So I've cut all the way around, I've cut on all the solid lines, and I've left just a little space here where my dashed line is. So I've got my pattern. I can now take my paper plate, and I'm just going to fold it right in half. Just like that. All right? So in our pattern, we figured out that where the dotted line is, it's going to be a fold in our puppet, right? So how do you think we're going to trace this onto our plate? Well, I bet you could guess, but we're going to line up that dashed line with the fold in our paper plate. So where the fold in my paper plate is, that's where I'm going to put my dashed line. And I'll line it up so that the whole shape fits right on that paper plate. Now, if you don't have a paper plate, I said in the beginning, you could also use a cereal box or a snack box. And the way you can make that is, same way, we're going to cut out our pattern. And once again, the dashed line is going to go along a fold. So, snack boxes are in a box shape. So, it's likely there's already going to be a fold in there, right? So I just want to show you quickly. Earlier, I made a sample, and I used one of the folds that was already in the box, and then I traced my pattern and cut it out onto there. So a snack box will also work just as well. Just make sure you get that nice rounded edge here at the bottom. All right? Okay, let's proceed. So, let us trace our pattern. We've got our dashed line up against the fold of our paper plate or our snack box. Now, paper plates, they are not quite flat. So if you need a little help tracing, you may ask an adult helper that's around. Don't forget to trace the outline of that little box that we cut out of our pattern. Try not to wobble the table too much. Okay, now my tracing looks a little wonky. I think it'll work out just fine. Okay, yeah. Okay, here we go. So I've traced the whole thing except for the top where the dashed line was. That's where the fold is. So I've got my little trunk. These are my two legs, and I've got my little tail. Okay. Now is the fun part. So if you are going to join me and paint, that's what we're going to do now. And so you might have to pause for a little bit and wait for your paint to dry if you're going to do that, and then come back and watch the rest of the video later. But like I said, I'm going crazy. We're going to do it live. So I wanted to also do this because I wanted to show you the technique that I used on our mermaid puppet last week. If you joined us for Mythical Creatures, we made a mermaid. And the way I painted my paper plate for that, I'm going to show you exactly what I did. So I just took a couple different colors. I'm going to use this bright yellow and red. And I'm just going to squirt. These are acrylic paints. If you're using watercolors, you can probably use a similar technique, but maybe use a little bit less water so that our paper plate doesn't get too soggy. Okay, here we go. This is very technical and masterful. I'm just squirting some dots of paint in my elephant shape. Super, super precise. Not really. Okay, so I've got a few dots of red. I'm gonna put a couple of dots of yellow, maybe one down here on the foot. And I'm gonna do a little bit of white as well to just kind of mix in there so it doesn't get too dark. Just like some tiny little dots of white maybe. Okay, super, super complicated and technical. Okay, see that? I've just squirted some little dots onto my plate. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna take just a little bit of water, just a little bit, and spread these colors around. Now, I do wanna give one hint. Most of this, we're gonna cut out, right? We're gonna cut out our pattern of our plate. But there is one line that you might wanna be aware of, and that's the legs, because it's not drawn in on the pattern. I'll show you. So I'm gonna do that first. I'm gonna spread some of this paint. Let me grab a little bit of red here, some white, and I'm just gonna go straight down, right? Because this down here isn't part of the legs. So I'm just gonna draw that paint straight down in between those two little lines. So I don't wanna go outside, I don't wanna color in this part right here. Okay, everything else, it doesn't matter if we go outside the lines because we're gonna cut that off. So you can just kind of go crazy now. Now we can just swirl our paint around and just kind of mix it up. I love doing this. I like painting in general. I find it really fun and calming, but I like this technique also because you come up with like fun colors and mixtures of colors. You can start experimenting with what new colors you get when you mix. Okay, let's get on the trunk over here. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now we gotta get the tail. I'm gonna flip it to face me so that I can see. Oh, and look, I got outside the lines over here. Uh-oh. But that's okay, because we're gonna cut it out. Ta-da! This is my super fancy schmancy painting technique. Okay. Someone is having trouble watching. I'm not sure if there's anything specific you need other than Facebook, but if there are any super smart technical people out there, feel free to jump in. Okay, here we go. Just gonna mix that in a little bit more. Ta-da! Okay, now I will rinse off my brush so that that paint doesn't get everywhere. And okay, through the magic of television, you know, digital medium, whatever, I've pre-painted another plate. I've used the same colors, but this one is dry, so we can continue to work with it right now. Ta-da! Planning ahead. Okay, and as you can see, same thing here. I just didn't color in those two. That way it looks like, or that space in between, so it looks like we have two separate legs. If you get paint here, it doesn't even matter. You can just cover it up with white. Okay. We're gonna take our scissors and we're gonna cut all the way around the lines. Now remember, this one at the top was a dashed line, so we're not gonna cut this fold. We're gonna cut all the way around. And we're gonna leave this folded part folded. Okay. Here we go. Okay. I'm not cutting in between my legs. I'm leaving this bottom part rounded, okay? All right. I'm just gonna skip over to my other leg and my tail. Okay, ta-da! So you can see with my paint, I've made two separate legs, but the plate is still attached. It's still in one piece that connects them. Okay, this is how our puppet's gonna work. Now, I have my other solid line here, so that means I'm gonna cut that out as well. This is where our pencil comes in handy. Once again, we can poke through to get started, and you wanna poke through both pieces of the plate, and also make sure that you have cut both sides of the plate. Okay. This part is a little tricky because the plate is thicker than the paper pattern that we cut out. So if you need an adult, I know this is kind of a small little square. It's a little bit tricky to maneuver cutting that piece out. And you might need some sharper scissors. So this might be a good time to ask for a helper. Okay, I'm gonna do my best here. And you know what? There's no mistakes anyway. It doesn't have to be perfect, ever. Art's not about perfection. Okie dokie. Ta-da! We're just about done. We just have a couple more details. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a little bit of my white glue and I'm gonna glue just right here the end of the nose. I'm gonna glue in between the two sides of the plate so that they stick together. And I'm gonna do the same thing with the tail. Just those two parts, just the tail and the end of the nose, right in between the two halves of the plate. And that'll help our puppet stay together a little bit. Don't need too much glue at all. Just a little bit, spread it around. Okay. And we're gonna push it together, push and hold for, I'm gonna say 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Oh. See, now I've messed it up. We're gonna do another 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. There we go. I think we're in business. Okay. So I'm gonna set that aside for just a second and let it dry a little bit more. And now I'm gonna make a fun little ear for my elephant. Okay. Stay together. Okay. I'm gonna put something heavy on that tail so maybe it'll stay a little better. Okay. So I have some little scraps of my plate that I've just cut out. So this looks like a good piece. Kind of got a triangle shape. And I'm just gonna take a couple of those ridges that are in the plate and I'm gonna cut those out. So you see where those ridges are? I'm gonna take about 3 of them. See? And I'm just gonna straighten this out, this little point. So I've got something like this. This is gonna be my ear. See, nice and simple. And we're using more of our plate, so we're not making as much waste. So that is good too. All I'm gonna do is make a little fold so that we can glue our ear onto our puppet. And I'm gonna go crazy and I'm gonna paint this as well, because why not? And I'm gonna use my same technique, just a little bit less paint. We don't need much at all. Okay. Just swirly, swirly. Okay, now I've got some fun color on that ear. Put it in my water. All right. We've got this folded over piece. That's where we're gonna put our glue so we can glue our ear onto our puppet. Here we go. Where do you think the ear would go? If I was looking at an elephant, would I put their ear right here on the foot? Probably not. What about, what about on the tail? Do you think the ear would go on the tail? I don't think so either. What about on the tip of the nose? Probably not. How about right here? Right next to the face? Yeah, I think so. No, it's kind of blending in. We're going to put it right about there. So I'll put just a little bit of glue on this tab. And glue my ear onto my elephant. Okay, and we'll hold it in place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Excellent, that should hold. Okay, awesome. I think we're about done. I'm just gonna take my Sharpie. If you have a googly eye that you wanna put on your puppet, or if you wanna wait for it to dry and draw with marker, or if you have black paint, you can just put a little dot. That's what I did for my sample. I just painted a little dot with little eyelashes. So I'm just gonna use my Sharpie. And elephants, you know what, they do kind of have these long eyelashes. So I'm going to do that again. I liked it. Okay. You know what? I just realized something. On my sample, I put a little tusk. So let's add that as well. Let's go crazy. So I'm going to, again, look to my little scraps of paper plate that I had. And this time I'm just going to take one of the ridges and cut out one of those ridges. See that? And for mine, I'm just going to make this a little bit more pointy. And that's it. That's my tusk. Super easy. Let's glue my tusk on to my elephant. So I'm going to put my tusk right about there. Kind of right in between the bottom of the trunk and where the leg starts. Yeah, right at the bottom of the trunk. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And with that, I believe we are done with our cute rocking elephants. Okay, let's open it up a little bit so you can take that nose and the tail that you've glued, kind of push together a little bit so that the two sides of the plate separate just a little bit. Okay, let's test it out. Okay, I'm going to push mine out just a little bit more. Okay. Oh no, my sample's not going to work. There we go. Yeah. Oh. Hang on. Puppet engineering. Well, it works for a little bit. Okay. Try one more time. All right, if you need to, what helps your puppet to balance is kind of this space in between the two sides. So if you need to adjust it and make that space a little bit wider, again, you can take the tail and the nose and kind of push together a little bit to give a little more space, a little more balance. Yes, and that will help your puppet to really work really well. Awesome. So again, there's no such thing as mistakes. If you come up with little problems in your puppet, we can usually fix them with a little bit of finessing. Okay, thank you all so much for joining. I just wanted to give one more quick shout out. This craft was inspired by a blog called The Joy Sharing. So they have all kinds of crafts and things, and they had something similar, but I wanted mine to be a little more fun and funky and different. We've got our cute little ear and some different things. So just a quick shout out to them, and thank you again to the Irondequoit Public Library, and be sure and check out their story time. We are here doing crafts, puppet crafts, every weekday for you and your family at 4 o'clock, and on the weekends, Saturdays and Sundays at 10 a.m. And it is Big Animals Week, so this Friday for our live streamed public show, we are doing Fox Fables. We're going to see lots of animals in that show, and one very big animal in particular. So definitely be sure and tune in for that. Check out our website, wondersparkpuppets.com. Here we go. Here's my fancy high-tech sign. wondersparkpuppets.com for all the latest. You can check out merch. You can buy a raffle ticket for your very own live streamed show, or you can order a puppet telegram for somebody special, or have a live puppet chat. All kinds of fun and excitement. Thank you so much for kicking off Big Animals Week with us, and we will see you next time. Thank you, everyone. Bye.